It's Confessions of a Doctorholic with Dr. Slayman. And my question for you today is, how do you act when your life has changed completely? Are you allowed to feel happy or sad? Are you allowed to continue living when things have changed completely and the person you loved passed away? How do you eat? How do you drink? Just how anything. So I was on my annual leave. I went to visit my family for a week. My brother was visiting because he was on his summer holidays from New Zealand. It was a great week in the Slayman household. We played cards every night. You know how you have protected time for learning? We have protected card time or like family time. My dad's especially competitive. He was a chess champion. Still is, in fairness. Slash engineer who loved challenges and especially loved riling up my mum. So this was how. We went on a couple of picnics as well. I had my residency interviews, which I smashed. I wouldn't have changed it for the world. It's Sunday morning. Dad got me some clothes from the tailor that I got fixed. And then he sat on the couch and told me he's got chest pain. So just a little bit of background. My dad regularly exercises. He doesn't smoke, doesn't drink. We just have familial hypercholesterolemia, which was controlled with medication. He's had regular checkups and angiograms where they see how his heart vessels are doing and they unclog them if they're ever narrow. Dad has never had angina or a heart attack. He also had a GTN spray. So he had chest pain that day. He had the spray and he felt heaps better. I was due to fly off in a couple of hours, so I hugged him 3 times. I told him I'll see him soon. I'm always really teary at the airport, or like not even at the airport, just before leaving my house. I'm a bit of a mess because I'm really close to my family, and it's always tough for me to leave my family. Even though I know like I'm going to fly back, even if I don't know when, I know I'm going to see them eventually and I'm going to talk to them on the phone, but it's like kind of not the same. It's not the same as getting hugs. It's not the same as sitting down with them every moment. It's not the same as having home-cooked meal or even just like sitting down with them and having a chat. Mum dropped me at the airport because I had work on the Monday. So, uneventful flight. I landed at Manchester Airport. So I'm done with passport control and I unlock my phone. And I literally spammed with messages and phone calls from distant relatives. This is not usual for me. It's usually mum and dad that deal with those and they just communicate the update or like multiple updates on the family group. So I start reading some of these messages and they say, I'm sorry for your loss. And there's people trying to connect with me on Facebook. People are trying to call me and I'm like, oh, what happened? So I text on the family group asking about it and I'm like literally like to my mum, like Uncle so-and-so is contacting me, what's going on? I get a few missed calls now from my mum and my brother and they're like, how was your flight? Call us when you get a chance, we want to check up on you. So I'm like, okay. I call my mum and she's like, how are you? How's your flight? Like getting that, like small talk out of the way. And then she's like, your dad isn't well. And I'm like, he was when I left him. Like, what happened? Is he in the hospital? And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, but he's not doing well. And I'm like, no, like, what do you mean? Like, he was fine. He'll be okay. Is he in ICU? He'll wake up from it. Is he unconscious? Like, I'm just literally like word vomiting right now. And then she's like, no, Hafsa, he's not going to. And I'm like, what do you mean he's not going to wake up? Mum, don't say that. I'm like, Mum, don't say that. Is he dead? And she's like, yeah. She's like, I'm sorry, your dad's not with us anymore. I don't know how my mum composed herself because, I'm struggling. I'm struggling to tell you guys the story. So she was an absolute champion. I don't even know what happened with the rest of the conversation. I just remember crying like it was just like a waterfall happening. She asked me if I wanted to come home, but I was dead to the world. I was just a mess. I remember people staring at me. I remember people giving me some distance. I didn't have anyone at the airport. I didn't know what to do. I was just there uselessly waiting for my luggage, like sort of in the routine of things. And I'm trying to contact my friends. I need some sort of support, someone to hold my hand, someone. I don't really know what I wanted, if I'm being honest with you, but I wanted something. And then somehow my best friend, he's been through it before. When he was 15, he was like, get on the earliest flight home. Him and another friend, they started searching for flights. And I'm there just like, I really don't want to get off the phone. Like, I need some distraction. And as I said before, I didn't know, and I still don't know what I would have needed. I'm walking aimlessly through the airport, and some people, they were quite kind, actually. They were like, whatever it is, it'll be okay. Whatever it is, it'll be okay. And in my head, I'm like, but how? This is literally the one thing you can't change. This is literally the one thing that you can't turn back. I get to the Emirates counter and they help me heaps. I went to them and I said, I need an emergency flight. So they booked the whole thing for me. I gave them my card. I dropped my wallet. I dropped everything. So they sorted all of that out. They got me around the queues. It was still the worst flight of my life. Nothing can change that. They gave me chocolate cake, and despite my sweet tooth, it didn't taste like anything. It tasted like cardboard. I couldn't eat it, couldn't sleep. I was watching a murder mystery and I'm just replaying the whole week. I'm just thinking about things that I could have changed, things that I wanted to say. Could I have changed something? Could I have saved my dad? Was it my fault? Was he happy with me? Did I do something wrong? It was just information overload. So before the burial, I was taken to the morgue to say goodbye to my dad. And I'm there listening to his heartbeat and his heart sounds and his breath. And I'm telling myself, I'm like screaming mentally in my head. He's cold. Like, he still looks the same. And he's like, so like inhuman cold. And I'm telling him, wake up. I'm telling myself it's not real. I'm telling him it's not real. I'm like looking at my mom and brother and they're crying. And like, I've seen this. I've seen this image before, but like, it was kind of like, I'm there, but I'm not there. It's like a nightmare. I'm calling out to him. I'm like, Dad, and he's not responding. He's so cold. Still beautiful, still very much my dad. I kissed his forehead and it's still very cold. And I'm speaking to him. I'm trying to tell him, like, I love you, and I regret not telling him enough. I used to get annoyed whenever I was flying home. He would call me like 5 hours before any flight, wherever I was in the world. Like, he'd like count the time difference, and it used to bother me. It used to stress me. But like, I remember telling him that and conveying that and communicating, oh, that stresses me. Oh, that does this and that. But I don't remember telling him every day that I loved him. And I really did. I loved him so much. It was tough. The burial was tough. The funeral was tough. There were many lovely and supportive people, but it like nothing could make up for that. It was still a hard process. I don't think I ever stopped crying during that first week. Like, people were saying you have to be strong for your family. They were telling Mum you have to be strong for your kids. They were saying that it happens to everyone. But like, really, in that moment, it doesn't help. I don't know what would have helped, so I don't think anything would have. But we tried. We stayed together. We had a few sleepless nights. We cried together. We spoke about Dad's good moments, some things we regretted. We spoke about how he'll never see me become a surgeon and he'll never see my brother graduate from uni. It was tough. And I reckon the toughest moment was seeing my dad's brother. He had like the same style, like literally clothing. Like the only difference is that he wore a hat. Same mannerisms, same voice. And that, like we broke down from that. And like, part of me wants to see my uncle again. The other part of me never wants to see him again because it's just so tough. So just like moving back to what happened on Sunday night while I was on the plane. My dad went to play chess. It was a place that was 10 minutes away from the house, and Dad, being the healthy stallion that he is, he would like walk everywhere. There's a bridge between my house and that place that crosses over a highway. So I crossed over that to get to the other side, and he collapsed. Mum received a call from Dad's phone with a stranger saying that this person collapsed. He sounds like stressed. And then he said that my dad typed Mum's number and told him, like, call, this woman's going to save me. Mum heard Dad scream, I guess, in the background, his last sound. Mum still has nightmares from that. So Mum told this guy to call the AMBO. And she said, we're on our way. They called the AMBO as well, just in case. And if you're listening to this, whatever you may be, med student, not a med student, physician, whatever you may be, whatever level of first aid that you know, first responder, whatever, always call for backup. Number one, call for backup. You never know when you'll feel tired. You never know when you're in that position. So you need to know the AMBO's number. So Mum and my brother had no idea where he collapsed, except that it's on a bridge. There are 2 bridges in the area. So my brother went to one, my mum went to the other. They split up. My brother was the first one on the scene. He saw them resuscitate my dad, and he saw some vomit. As a doctor, it's not an easy sight to see. So let alone as a civilian, as someone who doesn't know things in the medical field. The paramedics ripped Dad's shirt for resuscitation and told Mum that he's not responding and he's not doing well. They don't have a pulse. So we need to take him to the nearest hospital. So apparently at the hospital, they inserted a central line. They continued resuscitation for like half an hour, I think. They tried everything, but he was gone. So my question to you is how do you continue when your life changed forever? How do you feel motivated? How do I continue being a doctor when I found my family? How do you continue living? Nothing could have ever prepared me for this moment, the worst day of my life.